the Arbuckle Award, honors an alumna or alumnus of the school every year who's made lifelong contributions to the community and to society, and it's an award about leadership. And we're often reading about leaders or organizations that are falling short of what is expected. And so it's when we get to celebrate someone who is emblematic of what a great leader can accomplish, that's a wonderful thing to do. And I think great leadership in many ways is defined by just a very few things. It's defined by the ability to develop a vision and a strategy to execute against that vision, the ability to listen and communicate in a way that motivates and inspires people around you. And then most importantly, great leadership is defined by integrity and principles that set the tone and culture of organizations. And so it's fitting in that regard that we're here tonight to honor Laurene for her service to the GSB, to Stanford, to the greater community, for her work in philanthropy and the work of Emerson Collective as she gets to join the illustrious group that we recognized before dinner. It has been a great pleasure for me personally to get to know Laurene, both as an alum and through her work as a trustee. She pushes us to really aim high for Stanford. She asks laser-sharp questions. She brings an incredibly wide aperture to the discussion. She thinks not just about the school or the university. She always is asking, how does this matter for the country? How does this matter for the world? Last year, we had her come to the school, and she talked at View from the Top. What stayed with me after she gave that talk, and I'm sure it stayed with the hundreds of students who were in the audience that day, was the way that Laurene had brought together, on the one hand, just formidable intelligence and an incredibly entrepreneurial and dynamic spirit, and then coupled those things with just a deep passion for wanting to improve lives, whether it was through health or education or freedom of people and ideas. And the combination of just an expansive vision for what you might try to accomplish and an incredibly sharp focus on how do you get things done, sort of exactly what you would hope for in someone who came out of the GSB and has gone on to be a great leader. So it's just such a pleasure that we get to honor you tonight, Laurene, with this award. Okay, now I have the great pleasure of introducing Reed Jobs. So Reed graduated from Stanford with an honors degree in history and international security, and then a master's degree in history. So please join me in giving Reed a warm welcome.
It's a really deep privilege for me to be here introducing my incredible mother, Laurene. If anyone knows her a bit, you know that she's really a bit of a polymath. It's hard to nail her down to just one description. She simultaneously today is a businesswoman, a philanthropist, a social justice warrior, a mother of three, and a very successful beekeeper and producer of honey, and seriously. But I've known her really my entire life, my very first moments. At Goldman, she really improved on a lot of her natural abilities as a businesswoman. And let me give you an example. She was at Goldman when the Berlin Wall fell, and she really wanted to go. She wanted to see history being made and the East being opened up. Now, unfortunately, she had just come out of college with and couldn't really finance the trip. So to figure this out, she offered her superiors in Goldman a piece of the wall, as long as they invested in her transportation and in her housing. And there was a lot of interest. So she syndicated about 200 to 300% of her expenses for the whole trip. And everyone, still has their piece of the wall, and they still talk about it quite a lot. So I myself started working in cancer here at Stanford when I was 15 in the cancer lab. And I started because of what it did to my dad and what it did to our family. And I still think about that a lot. But I actually work on it now also because I can do it with her. And it's actually not so scary anymore. So I couldn't be more honored to introduce a really remarkable woman, my mom, Laurene Powell Jobs.
Wow, what a beautiful moment for me as a mom. And I'm so very, very moved. And thank you, Dean Levin and the GSB community for this incredible honor. I'm feeling truly humbled. I attended the Arbuckle Awards a long time ago as a student. And back then, I never imagined that I'd be standing up here one day. It wasn't that I lacked confidence in my future. It just didn't seem like the kind of place where women showed up. So part of the reason that I wanted to be here tonight is to show the young women sitting where I sat all those years ago that, of course, there's room up here for you. But before I dive in, I want to ground my remarks in a few principles that are at the root of my perspective, principles that we can all agree on. First, poverty is immoral. Second, extreme inequality is unsustainable. And third, inaction is inexcusable. Of course, there will always be levels of economic inequality in a society, but today there are disparities of wealth so great that they are an obscenity. I understand that in some ways a gathering like this might be an unexpected setting to raise issues of poverty and inequality. After all, many of us are among the fortunate ones. Our economy works for us. Our education system works for us. Our healthcare system works for us. But we don't have to travel far from this hall to find a community where all of these systems, the ones we know how to navigate so brilliantly, suddenly become calcified. 2 miles down the road in East Palo Alto, per capita income is $22,000, about a quarter of what it is in Palo Alto. I'm raising this because the story of East Palo Alto and Palo Alto, of the coexistence of prosperity and poverty in our own community, is a parable of the situation in our country. Since 1980, the incomes of the top 1%, like mine, have tripled, while the incomes of the bottom 60% of workers have remained flat, with 40 million Americans living in poverty. That includes 1 in 5 children. Now let me repeat that. 1 in 5 children live in poverty in America. Shall we defend our democracy? Of course. But we must also recognize that the voices of too many people in our country are missing or suppressed in its deliberations. Shall we defend capitalism? Yes, of course, but we must also acknowledge the many Americans who are denied its benefits. We need capitalism with a conscience. If scientists and engineers suddenly discovered some rare and precious material with untold potential, does anyone doubt that the private sector and government would move heaven and earth to harness it? Why can we not see that Cesar and Martha's intellect and their character are just this very rare and precious material? It comes back to Cesar and Martha, because they're not only gifted students who need a little help, they're also the talent that businesses need to cultivate. They're the consumers businesses need to grow. They're the community members whose support companies need to thrive over the long term. And if we invest in them, if we focus on preparing them and empowering them to contribute fully, not only to our economy, but to our democracy, we have a chance at narrowing the gap between the way things are and the way they might be, the way they should be, not only in East Palo Alto, but across the country. So here's my parting hope this evening for the students sitting where I sat all those years ago, especially the young women. I hope you'll come back here one day and tell all of us how you did it. Tell all of us how you not only rediscovered those lost values that Dr. King spoke about, and not only addressed the changing needs of society, but also used every arrow in your quiver to create the world you want to see, to make of it a brotherhood and a sisterhood for all of us. Thank you. Thank you, baby.
Laurene, thank you for sharing those thoughts with us and just that incredible message of passion and commitment and vision and inspiration for the students in the room. Just amazing.
Thanks.
So thank you.
Thank
Maybe
you.
another round of applause for
No,
Laurene.
that's enough. Thank you.
let me just thank everyone for being here tonight. It's always such an incredible pleasure to have this dinner and to get together all the different generations from the GSB and to recognize someone as extraordinary as Laurene and the past winners who were here. So thank you all for being here.